My husband and I celebrated our 7th wedding anniversary when I discovered plane tickets stashed in Travis Bennett's desk drawer. My first assumption was that he was hatching a plot to surprise me. By nightfall, though, the news of his next business trip was all I could hear. That night, I reminisced about an item on my 18-years-old wish list. To travel to Iceland and witness the northern lights with the person I loved. I couldn't sleep, so I relived that memory. That wish came true today. However, it wasn't the manner I had hoped. The attached photo shows Travis and his first love sharing a passionate kiss beneath the aurora. Neither did I approach him by SMS. And I refrained from crying. I am simply worn out from pursuing him for so long. Travis got home that night after I had finished making our favorite spicy shrimp meal. After we were acquainted, I stopped making spicy cuisine since Travis couldn't eat it. However, I now feel completely free to stand firm. Travis set a pink diamond necklace on the table. The kind I'd lusted after for years but never dared to purchase. The words, 7th anniversary gift, escaped his lips with a hint of nervousness. It slipped my mind the other day because I was buried in work. Without meeting his gaze, I replied, "Yeah, it's okay." As I picked up a shrimp, it was obvious that Travis was expecting my usual reaction. That is, to cry and demand explanations. Because he was shocked. Despite knowing he had been unfaithful on our anniversary, I managed to stay calm this time. My heart was racing. But not with grief or anger. But with an odd feeling of anticipation. As I stared at the aircraft ticket in the drawer once more. We had originally intended to spend our honeymoon in Iceland. So that was the location. He was preoccupied with work at the time to go. To put it off till now. He put it off. I had anticipated that Travis would spring it on me as a surprise. While waiting for him to return home, I prepared a full dinner for the table. Set out candles. And cooked. I was taken aback when he burst into the room without a word. Skipped me entirely. And headed directly for the bedroom. After what seemed like an eternity, he emerged. Announced, "I have some things to deal with at the company. So I'm going on a business trip." And departed. As I observed him retrieve the plane ticket from the drawer, it became clear. He had no intention of accompanying me to Iceland to witness the northern lights. He was totally oblivious to the fact that it was our anniversary today. Though I had no hunger, I looked at the well-placed lighted supper on the table. Sitting on the sofa, I looked out at the streetlights and felt a heaviness in my chest and an ache in my eyes. No matter how hard I tried, I cannot sleep. I opened social app finally and noticed a warning. From Autumn Monroe. Travis's first love. The spot is Iceland. Her caption said, "My wish list when I was 18 was to go to Iceland to witness the northern lights with loved one. Today it at last come true." The picture that accompanied depicted her and Travis kissing under the aurora. From my hands, the phone dropped. Travis thus traveled to Iceland with Autumn. I should have realized. Sleepless through the night, I sat in the chilly, vacant living room. When Travis got back the following morning, he wrinkled at seeing the table loaded with hot foods. Seated down, he questioned, "Why is everything spicy?" Setting down my dish and ready to leave the room, I responded, "I thought you weren't coming back." After a pause, he said, "Jasmine, Are you just going to walk away like this, after grabbing my wrist and cast troubled looks at me? Turning back, I questioned. What else is there to do? Should I still stay up and cook you a midnight snack when you get home from work? As usual? Later, as I was in bed, my phone buzzed with a note from my manager. Jasmine Spencer. Just to be clear once more. Have you actually decided to move to the UK? I'm just a little nervous and need to be sure even though I'm happy for you. You turned down the offer so many times because of your family and Travis. With a mournful smile, I said, don't worry, boss. This time, I actually have made up my mind. The company built a branch in the United Kingdom a year ago, and the manager post has stayed empty, emphasizing the unusual opportunity it presented. Both a promotion and a pay that would double my present income. My employer had offered it to me several times. Long ago, I had been tempted. Travis was the only thing preventing me. Travis's mother left him when he was a child and moved abroad, leaving him with a father who didn't pay much attention to him. He was only 11 years old when his dad moved in next door to us. By chance. That day was also New Year's Eve. When I went outside to set off the fireworks, I saw him sitting by the door by himself, staring out into the night. His small body was huddled in a corner, and he was sad as he watched the fireworks. As soon as he realized I was looking at him, he quickly lowered his head and went back to his normal expressionless state. I couldn't help but feel sad, especially after hearing my mom talk about his situation the morning before. This is what I said. Can you help me set off the fireworks? I'm not brave enough to do it by myself. I gave him a bunch of fireworks. He looked at me funny-faced and then reached out to grab them. We set off fireworks together, and I caught a glimpse of him smiling from the corner of my eye. After that, I made him come to my house for dinner on New Year's Eve and wouldn't let him go home by himself until his father came back, drunk from playing cards. I was by his side during that time, when a boy's pride was at its highest. Before we went to different colleges, we stayed close. From that point on, Travis cut off all touch with me. When I got back home from college the year I finished, I saw him again. He was waiting for me under a streetlight. It felt like time slowed down as I walked toward him, and I had a strong urge to remember things. Even though he looked more grown up, he still looked like the boy I remembered. When he spoke to Jasmine, it had been a long time since they had seen each other. I just stood there, not sure what to say. Then he kissed me out of the blue. My heart stopped beating for a second and then began to beat fast again. For a long time, Travis didn't move away. He finally did it and asked me, "Jasmine, do you want to be my girlfriend?" I took a deep breath and said, "Okay." Right then, I felt bad about how quickly I had agreed. But I knew that he had always known how I felt about him. He meant to do it. After that, we got married quickly and without much trouble. I still remember the night I told him about my chance to move to another country for work. It was a long time before he spoke. That night, he drank a lot and asked Jasmine in a low voice, "Are you going to leave me too?" His words hurt me deeply, and I realized that they made him think of how his mother left him when he was a child. I didn't talk about the move again after that because I didn't want to hurt feelings again. However, being the one abandoned was the last thing I anticipated. As my heart began to rip apart, I nervously bit my lip. My supervisor warily said, "Did something happen between you and Travis?" As if she could detect something. She saw my silence as my approval. "Flowers will bloom. And people will move forward," she wrote in her subsequent letter. "You must have faith in your own decision, Jasmine." Finally, she mentioned that the flight is scheduled for the month's end. "Before you leave, I'll give you a break." I realized I had entirely disregarded the pink diamond necklace until Travis brought it in. I used to put the gift he gave me on right away, take some pictures, and share them on social media to remember the event. However, the novelty and delight of the present had long since worn off, and it felt old and tattered. Laying down next to me, he lowered his voice. "Shall I put it on for you?" It was a no-go for me. "No. It's inconvenient to wear it to work." Travis lost his temper and threw the necklace away when he saw that I was still not responding as he had hoped. "Are you really this agitated, Jasmine? How enraged are you by the events of last time?" "I already told you. All we did was get drunk at the party and pass out. Also present were the other 3 men. How did Autumn and I end up in this situation?" I was about to lose track of how naive I had been until he brought it up. He stayed out all night the last time he went out with his college pals. Finding a way to contact him kept me up at night because I was so anxious. I managed to find him at one of his regular hangouts in the end. And to my surprise, he was holding a sleeping Autumn when I arrived. We got into a major fight in front of everyone. One of Travis's pals mentioned, "Autumn has been a part of our group for years. We all see her as a brother." Adding fuel to the fire as Travis attempted to minimize the incident by claiming he was simply drunk. "Nothing is happening." But I had stood outside the party room and overheard their jokes while they were inside. "You two are still so in sync. Why don't you just get back together?" someone remarked multiple times. Crying, I returned home. I truly just view her as a friend. Travis had initially promised to reassure me. No change occurred. But he lost his cool and finally snapped, saying there wouldn't be any tension between us if there was something happening between her and me. "I think you're being too dramatic." Our icy relationship began then and continued until our 7th anniversary. I saw it as a sign that he was trying to make amends with me. But little did I know that would be the last straw. "You overthink things," I stated quietly, looking at Travis's annoyed face as I regained my composure. I kept staring at my phone after that. Travis appeared taken aback, as if he hadn't anticipated that I would use his frequent expressions. "Are you serious? You don't think I'm angry?" he asked, his expression disbelieving. "Why would I feel irate?" I quietly looked up and inquired. Travis's demeanor soured as he looked surprised. "I'll sleep in the guest room tonight," he angrily declared as he got up and walked out, his expression menacing. I was unable to comprehend. I hadn't become angry, hadn't felt envious, hadn't questioned. Wasn't this what he wanted? To my amazement, Travis cooked the following morning. He summoned me over to the table to have a bowl of lean beef and preserved egg porridge. "Are you awake yet? I prepared your favorite porridge with lean beef and a century egg. Come to dine." I was momentarily taken aback. Growing up, Travis didn't have anyone to prepare meals for him, so he mastered self-catering. But when he got older, He didn't cook much. I realized that he probably didn't want to think back on his difficult upbringing. I had always been the one cooking since we had moved in together. The only time it wasn't was when I had a small operation and he gave me the same porridge in the hospital. It was the greatest lean beef and egg porridge I had ever eaten. I used to urge him to make it again later on. But he would get chilly and say, "Can't you just buy it if you want it? Do you truly want me to prepare meals?" Since I felt that I had brought up bad memories for him, I instantly apologized and didn't bring it up again. But later on, I discovered via Autumn's social app that he had prepared many meals for Autumn over his 4 years of college. Autumn was sick of the food from the cafeteria. So Travis rented a home with a kitchen and prepared new meals for her each day. Travis continued to provide meals for every get-together even after Autumn went back to China and reconnected with them. This was just because Autumn enjoyed his cooking. I tortured myself that night as I went through Autumn's social app posts one by one, reading the love that was concealed between the words and feeling like a robber snooping into someone else's romantic life. That love, nevertheless, ought to have been mine. Travis approached me, wrapped his arm around my shoulders, and assisted in repositioning my chair. "Jasmine, I'll take a break and spend the next few days with you," he stated in a rare, kind voice. "You mentioned you wanted to see that singer live. Didn't you? What if I purchase tickets and accompany you?" It was almost too funny for me. He claimed not to see, even though he had clearly seen everything. A musician I had been adoring for years made her way to our city for a concert not too long ago. I asked Travis to go with me since I couldn't wait to get tickets. He said he couldn't make it because he had an urgent task at work that day. Autumn, however, later made the following social app post. "Which busy individual is still free enough to come to my concert? As it happens, it's my family." They were pictured holding hands in front of the stage in the accompanying photo. And you could just make out the outline of a wedding ring on the bony finger. I just continued to concentrate on eating, not responding. Travis remained unfazed. He pulled out his phone and began looking up tickets. "I'll take that as a yes, if you don't say anything," he remarked, continuing to browse the choices. However, he spent some time looking and was unable to locate any performances by that artist. I murmured, "His tour is already over for this year," as I took a quick look at the wallpaper on my phone. Suddenly, Travis's fingers that had been swiping the screen stopped working. His mouth opened a little, not knowing quite what to say. He paused for a long moment, then looked at me with obvious shame in his eyes. "I apologize, Jasmine. I'll accompany you next year without a doubt." I tried to smile, but my eyes were closed. "Last year. You said that." The only sound in the room was the ticking of the wall clock. The room went silent. Disregarding his somewhat pallid expression, I remarked composedly, "I'm going to work." I was under the impression that Travis would resume his previous tactic of ignoring me after a few icy exchanges. However, he unexpectedly shifted his perspective. Later that day, he texted me to let me know that he would pick me up after work. Since he had already broken promises to me on few occasions due of Autumn, I didn't pay close attention. That morning, I requested Travis to drive me to work because I was running behind schedule. About halfway there, Autumn texted to let us know that she was feeling faint from low blood sugar and hadn't eaten breakfast. She politely requested that Travis bring her a snack. Travis halted the vehicle after ending the call, his voice betraying his distress. To get to the office. Hail a cab. My worst fear is that Autumn may have another fainting spell due to her low blood sugar. I'll start by getting her breakfast. After that. He slammed on the brakes and drove off, leaving me to stand in the blistering heat of the sun. A shiver ran down my spine and into my every muscle as perspiration trickled down my brow. Not only had I skipped breakfast, but there were no cabs around. My supervisor had to send me to the hospital because I was about to faint from heat exhaustion by the time I walked to the workplace. I went downstairs later and noticed Travis's car parked outside, which was a complete surprise because I had long since given up on him. Upon approaching the vehicle, I noticed that Autumn was likewise inside, occupying the passenger seat and laying her lengthy legs across Travis's lap. As Travis delicately administered medication, blood began to drip from a little incision on her ankle. The agony made Autumn scowl and hiss. She mumbled something about how painful it was as he looked across at her. Travis's words was tinged with a subtle reprimand. I warned you to exercise caution. His tone betrayed a caring and loving nature, despite the fact that he appeared to be whining. My nails dug into my hands as I clenched my fists. I felt a stinging agony, but it couldn't compare to the ache in my heart. Seeing them together was like having 1,000 needles stuck in my flesh. Even though I had already stopped caring for him, my genuine emotions were crushed. Even though I had invested a lot of my childhood in Travis. A vehicle horned its way past at that very moment. Travis, a little taken aback, glanced up to see me. I picked her up because it was Autumn and I happened to be nearby. He explained as he awkwardly shifted and spoke. It was only that I was assisting her with her medication. In response to Jasmine's question. Yes. Travis is just applying medicine. Autumn swiftly took her legs off his lap and spoke up. I hope you understand. Her eyes were filled with a mix of arrogance and playfulness as she winked at me. I had a rumbling in my gut from being so sick. Someone who was passing by noticed what was going on and looked at Travis, Autumn, and myself alternately. When Travis noticed that I was still there, he encouraged me to get in the car, looking uncomfortable about the situation. I approached him, threw the ring off his finger, and uttered the words, "Let's get a divorce." I had already walked away by the time Travis regained his composure, which took a split second. He swung open the door of the car, trailed behind me, seized my wrist, and muttered, "You said you wanted to divorce me, right?" I produced the divorce paperwork I had drafted earlier and presented it to him. In an explosive fit of rage, Travis tore the divorce agreement to shreds. Is this your second attempt at a divorce? I was merely offering her a ride. And I previously informed you that she was hurt. Will you continue to be upset about it? It's getting under my skin that you continuously making the divorce threat. A crimson-eyed Autumn then sprang over and took hold of my hand. You totally got Travis and myself and our relationship wrong, Jasmine. Now we're simply buddies. Travis and me. If it's too much, I can return on my own. As a fit of revulsion, I shoved her aside and yelled out, "Don't touch me." Travis, who appeared disturbed, rescued Autumn as she staggered and nearly collapsed. A single seat was all he said as he scolded me. There must be someone else who can take your place in the passenger seat. Whatever is important to you. Jasmine? It's just this overt and transparent predilection. Get in the car. Travis replied icy as he finally took Autumn's hand. If she wants to cause a fuss, then let her. How longer can she maintain this? Then he got in his car and drove away with Autumn. Out of nowhere, the sky grew dark, and the sound of constant lightning and thunder echoed through the air. I set out in the opposite way, walking in the heavy rain. Travis and I had already filed for a divorce before. He left me to fetch Autumn when she got home. It became clear to me as I looked at his phone that Autumn was his first love. I accused him of failing to set boundaries and having an undefined connection with his ex during our heated conversation. He was suspicious of me the whole day and wondered why I peered at his phone in private. I divorced my husband because I was so angry. 4 days. He remained absent from home and made no effort to make amends. I cried for days because I was so scared and powerless. In the end, I broke down and said I was sorry, saying I shouldn't have looked at his phone or accused him over unfounded reasons. Travis was sure I wouldn't leave him because I told him how much I loved him. On the other hand, this time the sadness was strong enough. Like before, Travis didn't come back for a few days. As I got ready to move to the UK at the end of the month, I kept myself busy by packing my things one by one. The friend of Travis didn't call me until the 3rd day. Excuse me. Sister-in-law. Travis is drunk. Please pick him up. No. That wouldn't work for me because we're getting a divorce right now. Sister-in-law. Travis keeps calling your name. Really? You're not going to come? I think you heard it wrong. He called Autumn's name the last time he was drunk. Out of the blue. I heard something fall from the other end of the line. A wine bottle. I hung up the phone without a fuss. First thing in the morning, when I opened the door and saw Autumn, I knew Travis had been with her the night before. When she saw me, she put her hand over her mouth and looked ashamed. Jasmine. I'm sorry to bother you, but Travis drank too much and threw up all over himself. So I had to come over and get him some clothes. He didn't come back when I asked him to. Please don't blame me because I can't change it. She took off her clothes on purpose to show a kiss mark on her neck. What? Are you proud of being a mistress? I asked, trying not to feel sick. Why haven't you learned any morals? Autumn's face changed all of a sudden. It was me and Travis who were together first, she said as she pushed me out of the way. The house in this picture is mine. Miss is the person who is not liked. You have no right to say that to me. When I hit the door, my head got red, swollen, and hot. Everything in front of my eyes became fuzzy when Autumn hit. I turned around and grabbed her collar to try to push her away. But Travis came back out of nowhere. He stood in front of Autumn to keep her safe and gave me a cold look. Do you think it will ever end? You've picked on her a few times. And now you want to touch her again? Say sorry to Autumn. I spoke up. But tears started to fall before I could say anything. I sucked hard on my lip, pushing them back, and yelled, "Get out of here. You all. Leave." To cry. I slammed the door shut and got down on my knees behind it. Soon after, the door was slammed open, and Travis rushed in. He grabbed my shoulders and carefully looked me over. He didn't know what to say, so he just said, "You're hurt." He took the cream out of his pocket and put it on me gently. I pushed him away, took the medicine, and hit him in the head with it. "Stop being so dishonest. You're my wife. If I really care about you, I wouldn't act like that. I told you I'm ending our marriage. Don't you get it?" The angry look in my eyes hurt him as he yelled at me. "You want a divorce because I helped Autumn with the medicine? I'm not sure what you mean." "Okay. I guess I made a mistake here. I didn't think about how you felt. I am sorry. Want something else? Should Autumn and I stay away from each other from now on?" As he talked, he got more and more angry until he punched the bathroom door so hard that his hand turned black right away. When I looked at his angry face in the mirror, I realized all of a sudden that I had never really understood him. He believed that he could act like nothing happened, feel good about himself, and say I was making a big deal out of nothing as long as I didn't see him in bed with Autumn. He only wanted me to give up and love him like nothing had happened. Uncontrollably, my body shook, and tears came out of nowhere. Travis's face became more amicable. He gently said, "Okay, Jasmine," as he lifted his hand to dab at the tears streaming down my cheeks. "We are the most significant individuals in each other's lives and have been together for a very long time. Please quit hurting my feelings by bringing up divorce. This time, I am to blame. I swear that I will never do this again." This is what he always says, administering a slap and then going on a nice date. It's difficult for me to refuse him every time. But it wasn't successful this time. "Travis, if you don't contact Autumn within a week, I will not mention divorce anymore," I replied, looking up at him with tears in my eyes. A smile came to his lips. "Is it really that easy?" he inquired. I gave a nod. Though it appeared easy, I knew he couldn't pull it off. Travis began arriving home early. He sent me a bouquet of flowers that I liked on the first day. He declined a party the following day so he could join me for my favorite hot pot. On the third day, he went with me to the gym to work out. And on the fourth, he made dinner for us at home. I had an appointment with Autumn for the final day. When she did show up an hour later, she sat in front of me wearing light makeup and cynically asked, "Why didn't you remain at home and take care of Travis? But you had the opportunity to court me. Are you here to advise against speaking with Travis ever again? There's no point in searching for me because I can't manage his friendships." She laughed, seeming to say, "I just want to steal your husband," in a tone full of pride. "How can you address it?" I suddenly reached up and gave her a slap. The sharp sound of the slap reverberated across the quiet surroundings. Autumn covered her face in shock and gave me a disbelieving look. "Why did you hit me?" she questioned. Her jaws clenched. After carefully wiping my fingers, I said quietly, "You and my husband were together and kissing. I should hit you. Don't I? You just realized it?" She snarled as her face went pale. "You are welcome to view my social app. Love-related matters cannot be restricted by a certificate alone." I sipped my coffee and gave her a nonchalant glance. "Travis and I are divorcing." "As you wish." He disagreed. I said, seeing a proud smile slowly emerge on her lips. I promised him not to bring up the divorce again if he doesn't get in touch with you for a week. The final day is today. I got up and grinned at Autumn after noticing her dissatisfied and reluctant look. Let's see if you can get him to violate our agreement. I'm going to wait. Autumn said behind me. Jasmine. Just be patient and observe. Travis made it home promptly at 9 o'clock in the evening. He seemed very cheerful. Maybe because he realized that it was the last day of the deadline I had set. Jasmine. Let's go to the restaurant where we had our first date tonight. To make up for our 7th anniversary. Okay, he murmured softly as he gave me a hug from behind. The eatery was still in its original location when we got there. He seemed to revert to the young guy he had been for a brief period as the warm golden light softened the harsh edges on his face. Jasmine. Why are you still so cute? He chuckled as he watched me slice the steak. That said. He removed the knife and fork from my hands. Expertly sliced a piece of steak. And served it to me. Travis has always impressed me with his intelligence. He quit his job and started a business in college using his major after abandoning his initial family. After graduating, he started his own business, became financially independent, and stopped worrying about going without food. In addition, he exuded romance as he spontaneously created a bouquet of red roses and set them on the table. One for the lovely woman in honor of our first date. When I regained consciousness, the same set supper was being served. And there was a similar bouquet of red roses on the dining table as there had been that year. The music began. The lights went down. And everyone was told to enjoy your meal. Both of you. The ambience was ideal. Travis's phone rang out of nowhere. You could tell it was Autumn without having to look. The call kept coming even after he hung up. Appearing a little flustered. With grace. I got up and announced. I'm going to the bathroom. Travis nodded stiffly. Clearly relieved. After I got back, I could hear Autumn sobbing in the rain. Saying, Travis. I don't understand why you've ignored me for the past few days. Evidently. I am still very much a part of your heart. With a tense voice, Travis yelled out. Don't touch me. Go away. Autumn. Where are you? Is something wrong? I was drinking at a bar and a man kept harassing me. She said. Oh my goodness. I was absolutely terrified. Travis. Please come and get me. I was just ready to go when Travis reached for the car keys. But he accidentally bumped into me as he turned around. Pursing his lips, he looked away from me. I apologize. Jasmine. The bar poses a threat to Autumn. Just ignoring her won't do. He then returned to have dinner with you after taking her home. Is going to be necessary for you? I inquired. You said you would. After staring at me in quiet for some time, Travis's eyes began to well up with tears. Jasmine. I recall that you exhibited a great deal of empathy. Tolerance towards someone in danger should be a priority. Why? I will return when I drop her off. I assure you. Having said that, he bolted from the room. He glanced across at me through the car window before getting in. I said my goodbyes with a wave. After locking the door, he turned the key to the ignition and drove off. Seated down once more, I relaxed and savored my food. I returned home. Pulled out the divorce paperwork. and set it on the nightstand. After putting the door shut, I took up the suitcase I had packed a long time ago and departed. On the flight to the UK, Autumn sent me a text message with some pictures. Laying down next to her, the photo shows Travis's bare shoulders. "You are out of luck," the warning said. "He must have dozed off right next to me because he is not returning this evening. Get a divorce from him as soon as possible. Defeating me is impossible." Her announcement was one of triumph. That made me giggle. I didn't come out on the losing end, even though she did. After sending the photo to Travis and having him sign the divorce paperwork, I proceeded to block his contact information one by one. Upon waking up, Travis noticed that Autumn was lying beside him. A look of terror crossed his face as he bolted to his feet. How he ended up having an affair with Autumn eludes him. The moment he sent her home, he remembered perfectly as he was getting ready to depart. However, yesterday night, Autumn unexpectedly pulled him into an embrace and pleaded, "Travis, will you remain by my side for a bit? It's still terrifying me. Get another drink on the house and I promise not to disturb you again. I know you want to see Jasmine." A quiet voice within Travis's thoughts begged him to say no. Returning to their dinner reservation, he had assured Jasmine he would. He couldn't let himself be betrayed on this occasion because he had completely overlooked the 7th anniversary. However, Autumn was trembling uncontrollably as she held his hands and sobbed pitifully. With a heavy breath, he pivoted to pat her back. "For the time being, I will remain at your side. I must depart immediately. Jasmine is patiently awaiting my return." He vowed to himself that this would be his final indulgence. Following this, he would remain in Jasmine's company. Still, he lost all recollection of the events after his drink. Reawakened once more, he discovered himself in Autumn's bed, and an unexplainable feeling of terror coursed through his heart. Jasmine seemed relaxed and serene as she said her goodbyes last night, as if she were glad to never see him again. Which he recalled. This idea whizzed around in his head like a swarm of pesky bugs, relentlessly probing his heart. Getting ready and stumbling out the door to get Jasmine was Travis's top priority. His anxiety level was rising as he felt the gap between him and Jasmine being stretched out by the interminable string of red lights down the road. It was fine with him, he told himself. Even as a little girl, Jasmine has had feelings for me. Jasmine wouldn't be angry with him for very long because he was the only one she had ever liked. Worst case, he reasoned, he could just gently nuzzle her a little harder this time. Upon arriving home, Travis found the house immaculate. So immaculate that it appeared to be lacking something. He hurried to the bedroom in the hopes that Jasmine was still asleep, not daring to give it any more thought. However, the bedroom remained unaltered, with the tidy bed precisely as Jasmine had made it the day before. All night, she had not returned. His whole body shook as he looked all throughout the home. But Jasmine was nowhere to be seen. Put differently, she had vanished from sight. At last, he recognized what was absent. A piece of Jasmine's. Travis's body began to hurt all throughout, with his heart feeling as though it were being choked. To call Jasmine, he pulled out his cell phone, but it was dead. He fell and stumbled in his rush to find the charger, then crawled over to it. His respiration quickened, his body stiffened, and he had the feeling that a sword was hanging above his head, ready to fall at any second while he waited for the phone to charge. When the sword did finally fall, it came in the shape of a picture and a single line that decided his fate. He took up the divorce decree that Jasmine had signed, placed it on the nightstand, and looked at it intently for a long while. The words were blurred when a hot tear dropped onto the page. With remorse and pain in his countenance, he fell to the ground. Travis consoled himself. No, Jasmine wouldn't be that cruel. She was a soft-hearted person, so she would forgive him if he went to apologize and give an explanation. He attempted to reach her, but Jasmine had prevented him. In a fit of rage, he rushed to her firm only to find out the previous evening that she had left for England after being transferred to another position. All of a sudden, he recalled how Jasmine had joyfully told him about her promotion and increase a year prior, and asked if he would want to accompany her to the UK. Travis acknowledged that he had been a little self-centered. He didn't want his mother to leave him or travel overseas like his mother did. After exposing his frail side to Jasmine, she naturally felt terrible for him and never brought up the subject again. But now that she had moved past her pity for him, she had abandoned him. When was she going to go overseas? Travis wondered. "A month ago," she said in response. Their 7th wedding anniversary was a month ago, and she had already decided she would divorce him. He slapped himself hard, closing his eyes in agony. Everything went nicely after coming to the UK. The rented house had a big yard. The neighbors were nice, and the work went on in an orderly fashion. Travis had used this chance to make an effort to make amends with Autumn, but he abruptly traveled to London. Travis was waiting at my door when I got home from work. He had lost a lot of weight, had black circles under his eyes, and had a very melancholy appearance, quite different from his formerly vivacious appearance. Since I hadn't seen him in a month, it felt weird to see him this way because, from what I remember, he was usually conscious of his appearance. I was struck down with a range of feelings. I felt a sense of loss and realized that I would never be able to perceive him the way I had before. Rather than finding joy or anguish in getting even, I skirted him, unlocked the door, and entered. Abruptly, he seized my wrist. "Jasmine, I apologize. Not everything is as it seems. Could I clarify?" Shaking my head, I withdrew my hand. "It is not significant. You are aware that our previous incident wasn't between us. You never bothered to explain anything to me and were consistently ambivalent toward me over our 7 years of marriage. You've traveled across the ocean to explain something you were hesitant to do before. And now that I'm exhausted, I understand." His face went pale, and he could hardly speak as he choked back sobbing. "It's crucial. You cannot execute me based just on a picture. Forget it," I remarked, casting a quick glance at the passers-by. "Simply enter and engage in conversation." Anxious, Travis trailed me inside the house. "Jasmine, nothing occurred that evening between me and Autumn. For the purpose of making a video, she spiked my drink and undressed me. I can confront her directly if you don't think I'm telling the truth." With a look of worry in his eyes, he said, "I know I shouldn't have gone that night. It was my mistake. Jasmine, I swear I will not make the same error. Shall we remain united? I will accompany you to England if you wish to stay." My expression was one of disappointment as I met his gaze. My pent-up wrath was poised to burst forth at any moment. What gave him the strength to keep believing in a falsehood he had concealed from everyone? Even in the face of overwhelming odds? I saw that Travis was temporarily taken aback and averted his gaze from mine. I retrieved my phone and presented him with Autumn's social app profile, which showcased their intimate history, including photographs of them kissing beneath the aurora. Travis, do you believe I'm especially innocent? When I uncovered the 2 plane tickets you stashed in the drawer for our 7th anniversary, you have no idea how overjoyed I was. I was led to believe that you were hatching a surprise. But it was all a big hoax. You kissed her under the northern lights. What were you thinking? Have you ever thought about Iceland as a possible location for our honeymoon? Was viewing the northern lights with the girl you loved the most when you were 18 all you had to say about being busy? Despite your undying love for her, you returned to me the year you earned your bachelor's degree. You were aware that I had feelings for you. Yet you abruptly severed all communication, just to unexpectedly reappear and ask if we might be together. Were you considering me as a possible fallback? Through my hazy vision, I fixed my gaze on him, the slow agony in my chest sharpening into a dagger as it roused all the grief and loss that had built up over the years. Suffocating agony was the feeling right then. Travis's cheeks turned completely white. He parted his lips slightly, but he was at a loss for words when I challenged him. Countless tears of sorrow, shame, and remorse welled up in his eyes as he gazed at me. Jasmine. No.
Bye.
My dear. A component of my naivete as a young person was the fall. You are the one I love. I know it with total certainty now. May I have another opportunity to make apologies with you? A newfound humility washed over him as he begged me for help. But by then it was too late. I smiled gently and looked at him serenely. My love for you has faded. No. You won't stop loving me. Travis whispered to himself as he stood there as if hit by lightning. In what way might your love for me abruptly fade? I gave him a dispassionate stare, refusing to comprehend the sorrow and struggle on his face. Quantity wasn't the point. Even though he loved me very much, he had a hard time accepting that we had to separate ways for the time being because I had loved him for so long. Let's be amicable and stop interfering in one another's life. Anyone you care about deeply may love you without judgment. As soon as I saw the time, I motioned for him to go. As soon as he left, I got back to skydiving, which had been my pastime in college. Even before our relationship, I was full of life, eager to try new things, and full of enthusiasm for life in general. My naivete and excitement were tarnished by years of setbacks and inner strife. Travis insisted he couldn't bear to be apart from me and thus would not leave. Out of sheer fury, I burst into laughter. He used to disappear for 10 days or even half a month at a time when we were together. But now he says he needs me. After all that time, what was he up to? To get him out of there, I contacted the property staff. I attended a local skydiving camp after moving to the UK. I eventually got back the rush I experienced after a few test flights. The camp is hosting a skydiving competition with hefty rewards, which the coach told me about. I signed up without thinking, even though my best chance of winning was a participation prize. It was a chance to dance in the town by the sea and take in the fresh air. I received a lot of real and enthusiastic compliments on my purple smoky makeup on the day of the competition. There was a mixture of exhilaration and worry in me as I waited in the skies. The howling wind and the applause of onlookers accompanied the momentary plummet. Then, I felt as though I had a heavenly viewpoint as I flew steadily like a bird. There was a big blue sea and well-ordered dwellings as far as the eye could see. I took off my helmet after landing, and the coach hung the second-place medal around my neck. "I'm proud of you, Jasmine," he remarked. I hugged him tightly and let out a sigh of relief. Before I could even gather my thoughts, I noticed Travis coming toward me holding a bunch of flowers. His speech had a trace of enthusiasm, and there was a flash of wonder in his eyes. "Jasmine, you truly excelled. I had no idea that you could skydive. Today's makeup is very noteworthy as well. It looks amazing and fits you flawlessly." He gave me the flowers and gave me an almost avaricious look. A friend saw this and came over to inquire, "Jasmine, who is he?" His eyes widened. "My ex-husband, who had an ambiguous relationship with my first love," was my response to Travis in front of him. My partner rolled his eyes instantly, picked up a half-my-height bouquet of flowers from the award table, and purposefully moved Travis aside to give it to me. "Jasmine, congratulations. These kind of flowers are worthy of you." I laughed uncontrollably, accepted the flowers, thanked him, and walked away without turning to look at Travis. He grabbed my wrist as he ran after me. He added, "Jasmine, I've made it clear to her," with a quivering voice. "She will no longer annoy us. Please don't treat me so badly." I was thrilled to have won an award today. Therefore, I was really not interested in hearing about his confession on such a momentous occasion. I waved him off, twitched my hair, and said, "Sorry. I have an appointment and can't devote my time to your lengthy speech." It surprised me that Travis gave up so quickly. Maybe since I'd shown him forgiveness time and time again over the years, he felt that if he could just hang on a little bit longer, I would finally forgive him. He bought a house nearby and moved in. I looked away from him and shook my head weakly. He kept pursuing me, showing up at my door every day with gifts and flowers, seemingly unfazed. I stopped going out to the yard to avoid him. Travis followed my neighbor Ryan angrily when he gave me some local specialties after his trip. "Hey, is this the guy you were dating that day?" he said, glancing at both Ryan and myself. "Are the two of you together? How far have you progressed?" he said in a dejected tone. "You're doing this to get revenge on me, aren't you?" After an agonizing wait, I swallowed my rage and said, "Don't think I'm as dirty as you." With indifference. "Even though we aren't divorced yet, I still uphold morality and fundamental decency." Travis snapped, gave an uncomfortable smile, and uttered a rough voice. "Jasmine, please don't say that. I now finally get how you were feeling at the time. The bastard was me. Just put your signature on the divorce decree. Just sign the divorce papers," I said icy and unemotionally, cutting him off. After a lengthy period of silence, Travis finally broke down and started crying. "Do I truly stand absolutely no chance?" he inquired. "What has happened cannot be erased," I remarked as I gazed at the person I once loved with all my heart. My inability to ignore or downplay the chasm that has opened up between us will not allow me to mend it, whenever it is. My apologies. Travis said through his sobs as he suddenly broke down in tears. I deeply apologize. Jasmine. He then turned around and gradually faded from sight after signing the dissolution papers. As I watched him, a lone figure, melt into the sunset, I also felt the passing of my youth. I was elevated to the position of branch general manager 2 years down the road. I appeared more energized than previously when I looked at my reflection in the mirror. I got a kick out of people thinking I was a student at the local university. I used my vacation time to explore the world, seeing sights no one had ever seen before. I got a message from a Chinese friend while I was on vacation in the Maldives and gazing at the water. Unfortunately, Travis was finally dealt a setback by the law of karma. For 2 years after his return to China, he had fought Autumn's incessant proposals of marriage. Autumn recently had a nervous breakdown and drove her car at him, claiming he would never be the same without her. Consequently, Travis is currently hospitalized and faces charges of deliberate injury. None of his pals have paid him a visit. My companion was hesitant to ask, Jasmine, would you like to return to see him? Saying, I'm traveling the world. I responded with a smile. I might think about it if I ever go to his city. Time and I proceeded on our voyage, with the clouds mirrored in the serene water, drifting softly.